Today we celebrate the career and accomplishments of Master Sergeant Heather King as she retires from active duty after 20 years of dedicated service. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Lieutenant Colonel Peggy Bloom, United States Air Force, retired. This afternoon we will witness the final stage of Sergeant King's productive 20-year military career. However, just as this is the end of one phase of her career, it is the beginning of another. So today's gathering also gives us the opportunity to wish her every success in the future as she looks forward to new challenges and rewards. First, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Sergeant King's husband, Jacob. Sir, more than anyone else, you are aware of the sacrifices Sergeant King has made in the service of our country. I speak for the entire audience when I say how pleased we are to have you here with us today. I now have the pleasure of introducing Sergeant King's family members and special guests joining us today. Her children, Sierra, Kiana, and Corey. Her mother, Karen Schwilt. Her brother, Mike Schwilt. Her brother-in-law, Jason King, and his wife, Jill. Our distinguished visitors in attendance are Deputy Commander, United States Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine, Colonel Daniel Reiser. Commander, 88th Air Base Wing, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Colonel Cassie Barlow. Superintendent, 711th Human Performance Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Dana Truesdale. Finally, I'd like to extend a very special welcome to all other commanders, chiefs, and Sergeant King's many friends, guests, and co-workers here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party, posting of the colors by Tech Sergeant Rabidow, Staff Sergeant McCown, Staff Sergeant Delon Betsy, and Staff Sergeant Baldwin, and the singing of the national anthem by Mr. Marvin Shelton.
Stand by. Forward. Hope. Colors. Hope. Present. Hope.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chorus. colors. Colors turn. Hope.
Thank you, detail, for the posting of the colors, and Mr. Shelton for the singing of the national anthem. The invocation will be given today by Pastor David Jarvis Schrader. Sir, would you please come forward to offer the invocation?
Let us pray. Lord God, we pray for your presence with us today as we celebrate with Heather and her retirement from the Air Force. And we do thank you for this beautiful day and that so many family and friends far and near have come to be with her. Thank you for her successful career in the Air Force and for those who along the way have led and guided her. And we pray also for your continued blessings and help for Heather and her family as she begins a new chapter in her life. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, I would like to present the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Lieutenant Colonel Peggy Bloom.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? I would like to again thank all the distinguished visitors, family, friends, and co-workers for being here today to help commemorate Master Sergeant King's 20 years of honorable service. Today's ceremony simply would not be complete without you all. On a personal note, Heather, I want you to know it's an honor for me to preside over your retirement. Being asked to do this is a privilege both professionally and personally, and I'm truly humbled you thought of me, so thank you for that. I also need to mention that I promised Heather I would keep this short and sweet, so I'll do my best to keep that word. Also, I'm a little nervous because Colonel Reiser's here, and deja vu, 2 years ago, he retired me when we were stationed in Ramstein. And he was my commander, and I just feel like I'm going to get critiqued and feedback.
We'll do it later.
So as I talk about Heather's career, I was immediately struck by the fact that she's only been stationed at one base, ever, which is Wright-Patterson, for 20 years. I think some people might cringe at the fact of being here at 20 years, but she looks good, none worse for the wear. All I can say is if you have to be at one place your whole career, at least Wright-Patterson has a great environment, it's a great base, it's a great community for your children. So she's definitely prospered here, and she has been given diverse challenges and opportunities. Heather entered the Air Force in 1993, and as with most young airmen, her goal was to do 4 years and get out and go to college. I asked Heather about her thoughts of her first enlistment, and she smiled and laughed as she said, "I didn't like it much. It was a huge learning experience." We'll leave it at that. As with most new airmen, Heather was busy socializing, being young, and enjoying life. Maybe a little bit too much. She remembers fondly that if it was not for the mentoring and tough love of then Chief Souders, Senior Master Sergeant Stanley, and Master Sergeant Harchick, her career could have definitely taken a different path. Looking at the outstanding senior NCO in front of us now, I'd say they did a superb job laying the foundation for Heather to build on. Heather's first assignment was as a surgical technician. Here she saw a diverse patient population, including surgical, oncology, and orthotics. This is also where she first dealt with the full spectrum of patient care to include the realities of death. Something a young airman dealing with oncology patients, first assignment, that is pretty difficult. But she learned from it and she got better for it. Heather described it definitely as an eye-opening and growing experience that she would not have traded for the world. Upon leaving that position, her supervisor used the following superlatives to describe her: flawless and superb with unlimited potential. Not bad for an airman. In 1995, Heather would welcome her first daughter, Sierra. She was also hand-selected to fill a manning void in the ophthalmology clinic. She excelled in her new environment and began gaining her reputation for an innate ability to adapt to any situation, on-tact, sharp medical skills, and critical thinking. But most importantly, she became the go-to person when things needed to get done. I'd say that's not a bad reputation for an ALSA. Heather continued to receive mentoring, this time by Master Sergeant Robinson and Stewart. With their guidance, she garnered invaluable ophthalmology and leadership experience that would later be used to help set her apart from her peers in the emergency department. Her time in ophthalmology was summarized as our finest patient care provider, excels when challenged, astute, and a ball of fire. If anybody knows Heather, she's a ball of fire. I can attest to that. Heather remained a surgical technician until 1999, when she was selected to move to the emergency department. Not only was this the beginning of her emergency medicine career, but also the beginning of her and Jacob's relationship. So, apparently, when one goes on an emergency call, there is limitless time to meet new people, see sparks fly, and exchange phone numbers, especially with a particularly good-looking young fire department lieutenant. Again, this just underscores the fact that Heather's a natural multitasker and simply knows how to get the job done. 1999 is when I also met Heather. I came to the emergency department as a young captain. Instantly, I was drawn to the sweet, obviously experienced senior airman who was more than willing to show me how to do things the right way. I truly learned a lot from Heather. Moreover, I just really remember her willingness to help anybody who needed it, no matter the task, and trust me, there were some nasty tasks. And simply how her beautiful and ever-present smile brightened the room and lightened even the worst of days. In my opinion, Heather was exceptional then, and she's even more so now. So Heather remained in the emergency department from 1999 to 2005. Obviously, she excelled as an emergency medical technician from day one. In 1999, she had the opportunity to participate in a deployment to Kimhae, Korea. This was Heather's first temporary duty assignment and experience dealing with all the aspects of a field hospital to include setup and full operations. Heather told me it was a true eye-opening experience for real-world medicine. She learned to adapt fast and to do a lot with very little. Throughout this deployment, she gained valuable knowledge and a newfound confidence in the area of emergency care. Now in 2001, this is where Heather and Jacob were blessed with daughter Kiana. Apparently, Heather's multitasking and can-do attitude falls into the realm of baby birthing too. As I hear it, she worked a full 12-hour shift, went on several medic calls, clocked out, and then promptly went into labor and delivered Kiana. I never thought I'd say this, but I now do think there is a point where one can be over-dedicated. So after fully realizing her love for emergency care outside of the walls of the emergency department, Heather, with the help of Master Sergeant Steve Du Bois, obtained her paramedic credentials and became, not surprisingly, the go-to person for medic runs. Because of this, she was selected to be the Assistant NCOIC of Patient Transportation. As usual, Heather took the reins in directing all aspects of patient transfers out of the facility, oversight of EMT certification and training programs, and coordination of special events requiring medic support. In 2003, daughter Corey came along, as well as Heather and Jacob's wedding! Exclamation point. Undoubtedly, this was a special time for her to include the honor of being part of then President Bush's motorcade as medical support. That's a pretty cool honor. We now moved into 2005, where then Tech Sergeant King was yet again hand-selected to work outside the emergency department, this time in dermatology. Here, Heather provided much-needed clinic leadership and management. True to form, she used this opportunity to learn all she could in the specialty area, adding it to her growing arsenal of patient care and leadership knowledge. Heather's supervisor commented that she was an exceptional performer, meticulous, vital to the success of the dermatology clinic, top-notch and stellar. In 2007, Heather attended the Senior NCO Academy and was then assigned back to the emergency department. Only this time, she moved into a shift leader role position. Then, 1 year later, she became the NCOIC of Training and Education element for the Emergency Services Flight. This position was exciting for her. In Heather's own words, she was able to lead from the front by still going on medic runs in order to remain hands-on with her patients and her airmen, all while working from an office job. not many would choose to do that in an office position. So, in 2009, Heather found herself deployed to Ramstein Air Base, Germany, supporting the Air Force's busiest contingency aero medical staging facility. There, as mission commander, she oversaw 30 air evacuation missions while leading a staff of 40. She participated in over 100 trauma missions, moving over 455 wounded warriors, and supported NATO operations by transporting 161 multinational personnel. Heather's time in Germany was summed up by noting that her superior leadership and medic skills were invaluable to the overall success of deployment. I was there when you were there, and I ran into you, and I did very good things about you. You're a true asset, and I heard your name about that deployment, so things get around. Upon returning home in early 2010, Heather came back to the emergency department, this time as the NCOIC of Emergency Services. So she started there as an airman, and now she's running the show. She spearheaded all facets of a major department renovation from cradle to grave, while managing 35 enlisted personnel, a $324,000 budget, coordinating the Air Force Marathon medic coverage, and serving as an exercise evaluator for 6 wing level exercises. Heather continued to lead from the front and excelled as an NCOIC, which was also evidenced by her selection to Master Sergeant at that time. Now we reach Heather's final Air Force assignment, where again she was hand-selected to be the instructor supervisor for the initial contingency response team in the newly formed 711 Human Performance Wing in 2011. This was an exciting move for Heather, as it was a new challenge for her outside of the medical group. She initially felt outside of her comfort zone by having to instruct, lead, and manage students ranging from not only the apprentice level, like she was accustomed to, but now to the PhD level, which we all could agree could be a bit intimidating, to say the least. Heather soon gained her footing, and as usual, excelled, gaining invaluable depth and breadth in her career field. Not surprisingly, Heather was recognized above her peers by being selected to fill in as interim department superintendent. She also received praise for being pivotal to her unit receiving a 2012 Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Education and Training Team Award. So, while being high-speed, low-drag in her new role 711, Heather somehow managed to fit in carrying and delivering twin girls, Malia and Mariah. No small feat, I'd say. As I completed my review of Heather's Air Force career and finalized writing my comments, I looked at the very last line of her very last official evaluation, and it stated, critical Air Force assets. Those words struck me as a perfect and succinct way of describing the superb senior NCO sitting in front of you now, a critical Air Force asset. In closing, Master Sergeant King has demonstrated time and time again servant leadership, unsurpassed medic knowledge, and above all, selfless service. She is the epitome of what we expect a senior NCO and dedicated airman to be. I personally want to thank you, Heather, for your exceptional service. I also want to thank Jacob and your children for their support, love, and patience. For without that, Heather could not have achieved all she did while supporting the Air Force mission as well as she did. Heather, now at this time of reflection, I hope it serves as a positive catalyst to help you transition into the next chapter of your life. Hold all your Air Force experiences close to your heart and be proud of the superb service you provided to your country. Again, thank you for your service and especially your friendship, which means so much to me. Best wishes for a prosperous future and Godspeed.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Bloom. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the medal presentation. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal to Master Sergeant Heather A. King. Meritorious Service, 5 July 2011 to 30 September 2013. Master Sergeant Heather A. King distinguished herself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States, culminating as the non-commissioned officer in charge Initial Contingency Response Team, International Expeditionary Education and Training Department, United States Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine, 711th Human Performance Wing, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. Sergeant King led a total of 23 staff members and volunteers over 184 hours to expedite the completion of a 10-acre field site at the Warfighter Training Center. She brought together instructors from multiple career fields to review lesson plans, creating the foundation for the response team's austere field training. Next, Sergeant King managed the editing process for 45 course objectives to delineate the course concept of operations for 5-unit type code deployment teams. She liaised with the Air Force Personnel Center to write job advertisements and filled 3 critical shortfalls, increasing manning by 22%. Multifaceted, Sergeant King was also the director of the Basic Medical Expeditionary Readiness Training class. She oversaw instructors who taught initial readiness tasks to 500 aerospace medicine, public health, and environmental engineering apprentice students. Additionally, Sergeant King served as the Aeromedical Technician Course Director, providing senior leadership to Aerospace Evacuation Technician course instructors through 2 classes, graduating 60 students. She provided seamless coverage for 20 enlisted as department superintendent, supporting 14 officers and 5 civilians. Finally, Sergeant King's leadership was integral in the department garnering both the 2012 Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Training and Education Team and the 711 Human Performance Wing Commanders Awards. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant King culminate a distinguished career in the service of her country and reflect great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force Special Order Number AC 002683, dated 19 December 2012. Master Sergeant Heather A. King, effective 30 September 2013. You are relieved from active duty, United States Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, and retired effective 1 October 2013 under the provisions of Air Force Instruction 363203 and the grade of Master Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated for the remaining presentations. Lieutenant Colonel Bloom will now present Sergeant King with her certificate of retirement. It reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, reading, this is to certify that Master Sergeant Heather A. King, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of October 2013. Signed, Major General William McCaslin, Commander AFRL, and Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, Mark A. Welsh III. Next, Sergeant King will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from our President, Barack Obama. The certificate reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for your happiness and success in the future. Signed, Barack Obama, Commander-in-Chief. Next, Sergeant King will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief J.A. Roy. The certificate reads, I'm proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Next, Sergeant King will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from the state of Ohio. The certificate reads, "Congratulations on the completion of your 20-year career of honorable and faithful military service. Your country sincerely appreciates your loyalty, dedication, and commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy. On behalf of all Ohioans, we thank you for exemplifying the highest traditions of patriotism for all Americans." Signed, John R. Kasich, Governor, and Mary Taylor, Lieutenant Governor. Jacob, will you please join Lieutenant Colonel Bloom and Sergeant King up front?
You got to do it.
Jacob will now pin on Sergeant King's retirement.
No blood rules, sir.
Today's celebration would certainly be remiss if it didn't recognize and pay tribute to the significant contributions and sacrifices made by military spouses and their families. Lieutenant Colonel Bloom will now present Jacob with a certificate of recognition from the United States Air Force, which reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents the certificate of recognition to Jacob King for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for your support, which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given the first day of October 2013, signed Major General William McCaslin, Commander AFRL and Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, Mark A. Welsh III." Next, Jacob will be presented with a certificate of appreciation from the former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief J. A. Roy, which reads, "On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this certificate of appreciation to Jacob King. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service and defense of our nation." Sergeant King will now present Jacob with the Military Spouse Medal. Which reads, "The spouse does not wear a uniform, yet they serve their country. They do not acquire nor wear ribbons showing where they have been, yet they go. They do not ask for the duty they perform, yet they unwaveringly serve to the best of their ability. They serve, yet are not honored with trinkets or pieces of cloth showing their service. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights you have spent and that you have kept the home fire burning. A symbol with no beginning and no end, the ring around the candle flame symbolizes the undying flame of love for your spouse." Sierra, Kiana, and Corey, please come forward. Sergeant King will now present her daughters with the Military Child Medals, which reads, "Throughout the years of your life, you have made sacrifices and you've served your country as much as I have done. In your loving way, you quietly shoulder the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you could not understand why I was not there, but you quietly hid the tears, courageously put on a smile, and defiantly promised that you would support me. You were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life, and it was your love that enabled you to assure me that what I was doing was important. I missed so many holidays and countless special occasions while you were left at home to worry while I was on difficult missions. I am proud of you, for it was your love and support that sustained me in those difficult times. There's no way in my mind that I could have been a success in the military without having your support, your understanding, and most important, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there for me. We will now make a very special presentation to Sergeant King. A shadow box is a representation of an airman's career and includes Sergeant King's various achievements and awards over her exceptional career. Next, Staff Sergeant DeLon Betsy would like to present Sergeant King with a gift from the former instructors of ICRT.
Sergeant King, we just wanted to give you something. The ICRT enlisted your team because we love you and you're a great supervisor and NCOIC. So I hope you like it.
This makes me a little nervous. Especially knowing who my instructors have been for the last few years.
It went through 3 revision processes, so this is the best one. Did you wrap it, Willis? He didn't leave a knife to open it up.
It reads, in recognition and sincere appreciation for your distinguished service, guidance, devotion, and leadership, you will be long remembered. Congratulations and best wishes on your retirement. Master Sergeant King.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for a special flag ceremony presented by Tech Sergeant Ravenel and Staff Sergeant DeLon Betsy. Master Sergeant Hughes will narrate this portion of the ceremony.
For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Forward. Born on the 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Fold. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. Fold. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Fold. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. Fold. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. Fold. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. Fold. In July 1969, the flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Fold. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Fold. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on the United States Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Fold. In 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us, for generations to come. Fold. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinct fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Fold. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and in skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect, preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. Fold. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Sierra, we would like to recognize your constant support and steadfast example of outstanding integrity and family devotion by presenting to you the United States flag, which your mother so proudly served and so honorably defended. Accept it and protect it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you Master Sergeant Retired Heather King.
Thank you. And yes, I have notes. Thanks to my husband, Jacob, he's been on me for probably the last month to write a speech. And I said, no, I'm just going to do it the same way you do. So I made notes on the way here. And I hope I don't forget anyone that I particularly wanted to recognize. But first of all, thank you to everyone that is here today. There are so many people that have served with me, friends we've made along the way, family. I want to especially recognize our DVs, Colonel Barlow, Colonel Reiser, Chief Truesdell, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with us today. Thank you, Colonel Bloom, for being the presiding officer for today's event. And I will get back to her in our story in a little bit. On the same note, I promised I wouldn't be long-winded, but I do have a few thank yous to make it through. Those that were part of the flag detail today, Pastor, Mr. Shelton, thank you for your part in today's ceremony. Sergeant Hughes, Sergeant Lamelli, Sergeant Willis, and again, Mr. Shelton, thank you. Today would have never happened if it wasn't for all the actions that you did. Behind the scenes on that, one of my dear friends, Sergeant Goche, was a co-worker for quite some time, and when I said I did it, I pushed that retirement button, he said, all right, I'm going to start planning it. Well, then he decided to PCS and get orders to Italy, and poor Sergeant Hughes, Sergeant Lamelli, Mr. Shelton, Sergeant Willis had to pick up after he left. So thank you. I know it is not easy. For my family that has traveled here today, Mom, Mike, Aunt Jeannie, Corey, Gina, Bob, Eli, Caden, Jason, Jill, Cardin. I know they did make it. We tried to hold off as long as we could. Thank you. It means a lot that you traveled to be here today for this event. Quickly for my mom and my brother, I just have a special gift to thank you for all your love and support and for being here today. I love you both.
I'll pick it up, don't worry.
So Colonel Bloom did a great summary of my long time here spent at Wright Pat, so I will try not to repeat a whole lot of it. I initially entered into the Air Force straight out of high school, and my goal was to tour the world and go places, see things. Being 18 years old, first assigned here, I was a little bit of a wild child. So I have great mentors, leaders in the audience today that, because of them, that's why I'm still here today. So Chief Souders, Mr. Hokum, Mr. Stanley, thank you so much. I don't know how many times we were in our service dress, standing at attention in front of the commander. I just couldn't get it straight. And finally, 3 days before I was due to separate from the military, everyone jumped through hoops to get me a CJR after my first enlistment. So I can say that if you have trouble in the beginning, it will, Sergeant Taylor, be nice to all those students. They can be rehabilitated and do well in the Air Force. Thank you so much. Somehow I managed to keep finding my way back to the ER. I was always liked the adrenaline rush of trauma, cardiac arrests, lights and sirens. Obviously what attracted me to my husband. So, to all my ER co-workers, family, friends that are here today, thank you so much. I was in tough positions many times, supervising some of them that outranked me. Learning from great flight commanders, thank you. Colonel Kennebeck, Major Spicer, awesome nurse manager, thank you. Together in the ER, that was where I experienced it all. Births, child deaths, adult deaths. There was never a dull moment. And my closest friends who have traveled to be here today, where is she? Val, who's in the back, Star, Natalie, who she left us. She decided to go guard and get her commission, but now she outranks me, but thank you. We have been through so much together, so many good times, sad times, and here we are almost 15 years later, still the best of friends. Thank you so much for being here today. As it was said, I met Jacob in the ER, and wow, we've come a long way from with him being a fire department and me being a paramedic. We never did anything the easy way. So when we decided we were going to make things work, which took a few years to figure out, we jumped in full turkey. At the time, I was doing shift work in the ER, had Sierra. We were raising his son, my stepson at the time, and Kiana had just been born. So we decided we were going to make it work. I was doing the 12-hour shifts. He was, at that time, he was promoted to captain for the fire department, doing his, at the time, 24 on, 24 off, and working part-time jobs for Harrison Township Fire Department and New Carlisle Fire Department. So between our busy lives, it was not uncommon for us to see each other one night a week. There were many nights we spent one day a week together. And wow, amazingly, we have made it through it all. Sierra, Kiana, Corey, the three of you, and to save everyone else's ears, we opted not to bring the twins to the ceremony today, but they will be at the reception following. Thank you so much. You three were actually very fortunate. The most moves we had were when we weren't happy where we were living and we were trying to settle somewhere else to find the best school districts for you. But from the shift works I had and TDYs I took, the times that I was gone for deployment or birthdays, holidays, special events, I'm sorry. And I am so lucky that with Sierra entering her senior year this year, Kiana getting ready to start middle school, and Corey, I'm so excited that I will not be missing that time anymore. Thank you. And I love you all. I transitioned over to USAF Sam at a difficult time in my life. Our family went through a lot. So I had a cousin that died. They sent me to Germany. My grandmother passed away. Came back. My father passed away. The following year, my brother passed away, and a grandfather in that time. So it was a rough transition over a good 2-year period. And I was burned out in the ER, but thankfully I had a great chief functional manager that said, this is going to be a good change for you. You'll do good. I moved over to the schoolhouse, scared to death, going, oh my God, I'm going to have to teach. I don't like standing in front of people talking. That's not for me. And at the time, no one could tell me what ICERT was. You're good. You're a paramedic, you're ACLS, you're PALS, you're neonatal, you'll do fine. You won't have any problems. I got here and met the 10 staff that we had at the time, and they gave me a run for my money. It truly was one of the biggest challenges. They looked at me saying, oh no, we have another master sergeant. She has no idea what we're going to be teaching, and she's pregnant. How is she going to do this? Thankfully, through the good, the bad, every one of them were wonderful. I was not a quick learner on some of it. Between putting up Alaskan shelters, running generators, everything that was beyond what a medic does. To me, I fix people. I don't know how the rest of that runs. We had so many issues at the field site, from lack of power, lack of water, permits being lost that would take months to almost a year to finally show up for us to get the field site build done. Thank you so much to my loggie, Sergeant Lamelli, my public health tech, Sergeant Jacobson, my IDMT, Sergeant Whitmore, my 4Ns, Sergeant Baldwin, DeLon Betsy, Willis, my surge tech, Sergeant McCown, and to my admin tech, Sergeant Fagans. Every one of you had patience through the frustration. We went through a hard time with building a course, writing lesson plans to be cut. And the best advice, words that I can give you is keep doing what you are doing. Every one of you are wonderful NCOs that are going to be great senior NCOs someday. We have a lot of thank you to offer to Chief Truesdale, Sergeant Buckman, who went above and beyond to fit you guys for the right jobs. Whether it's within SAM, PCSs, moved you back to the Med Group. And I wish you all the best in the future. Back to Colonel Bloom. I met Colonel Bloom on my first tour in the ER, and the ER was rough. Officer enlisted, it didn't matter. We were mean to everyone until they got it. And at the time, I was only an EMT basic, and I remember Sergeant Hartman and I were working a shift in the ER. I actually think it was a Saturday, so the ER wasn't that bad, but the phone rings and says, oh, there's a cardiac arrest at the commissary. Of course, the paramedic that was supposed to be on the ambulance with me was nowhere to be found, so I grabbed Sergeant Hartman, our shift leader for the day, and we hop in the ambulance and go. And on the way is dispatch updates and said, please be advised, CPR is in progress. That's when we get the pucker factor and go, oh my gosh, what do we do? We're basics. When we get to the commissary, I had a huge relief as I walk up to, I'll never forget, it was a cereal aisle. And there at the time, Captain Bloom, on her hands and knees, doing mouth-to-mouth CPR on the patient. And I think it was an internal medicine doc that was there.
And a dermatologist. That could lead into a really good joke.
So everything worked well, and they helped us through the frustration, and the patient never made it, and that's okay because that happens. But
Full
I
ACLS.
I remember they're doing CPR, and there's people still walking by with shopping carts trying to get that box of cereal. That's how I knew we were in a cereal aisle. And I'm yelling at the fire department going, can't you do something? Can't you block this aisle? And I remember at following us, Fairborn arrived with ACLS care, and she comes up to me and she says, thanks, you did good. Now I need to go get a toothbrush. So that was, you were a nurse that always told me you would never do mouth to mouth and you would always have your pocket mask. Sometimes we do great things. What needs to be done for our patients? You have been a great mentor, friend. I learned a lot from you in the ER, and then after you went line side, came back as a flight commander. You did great with the internal medicine department. I was fortunate enough to run into you again in Ramstein, and then it was very easy for me to pick who I wanted to be my officer today. Thankfully, she came back here after she retired, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Better be an oral B.
I should have put one in there.
Face mask, yeah.
If I left anyone out today, I am truly sorry. There were certain people that left special imprints on my heart, memories that I've created that I will cherish. We are not going far. Jacob has been the reason that we have spent my entire career here, and I think Colonel Barlow is probably happy that we chose to stay here because she has an awesome fire chief for the base. I don't have any regrets. I made a lot of mistakes, but that is exactly what molded me into the person I am today. Thank you so much for everyone being here today.
Since everybody's already standing, if you guys wouldn't mind, please join us in the singing of the first verse of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, singing to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give her the gun. Give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from their gun.